Hello everyone and welcome to the other pair featuring the exact same position, Hikaru Nakamura versus Dr. Bassem Amin, and yes, we are also going to check out the game Steinitz versus Chigorin, or rather Chigorin versus Steinitz, game 5 of the World Chess Championship match 1889. So let's dive straight into the position. e4, e5, knight f3, knight to c6, bishop to c4, bishop to c5, the Gioco Piano, and pawn to b4. The Evans Gambit is on the board. We have bishop captures, c3, bishop to a5, and castles kingside. We have queen to f6, pawn to d4, knight g to e7, and bishop to g5. Queen to d6, same as Steinitz played in 1889. Queen to b3, putting pressure on f7, castles, and rook to d1. We have bishop to b6, and now in the game, in the previous video, I've mentioned that in the original game of their match, Chigorin played d captures on e5 against Steinitz, and it is the top move recommended by the engine, even by today's standards. Magnus, in his game against Anand, that he won in 20 moves, if you haven't seen it, first link in the description below, I definitely recommend it. And in that video, I talk a little bit more about why they are playing these positions. Played knight to a3, but here Hikaru just plays bishop back to f1. So he actively counters the idea of bishop to b6, which is, of course, to play knight to a5 and to rid white of the light square bishop, which is one of the strongest pieces in the Evans Gambit. So Hikaru says, I don't care, I'm just going to play bishop to f1. And the engine doesn't particularly care for this move, but it's not like it's a mistake. So, I mean, if you can save your light square bishop, you should definitely do that, and we'll definitely include this in some other iteration of the tutorial I make on how to play the Evans Gambit. Also, we'll include in the description below. So e captures on d4 by Bassem, c captures, and now knight to g6. Again, getting this knight off of this awkward square. The engine really wants the queen to come to g6 to put pressure on the e4 pawn and also on the g2 pawn. But here, Hikaru's bishop on f1 makes queen to g6 not appear so interesting. But yeah, it is best. And it is the square that Steinitz put it on against Chigorin in their famous match. But here we have knight to g6. But also, if you're thinking about capturing on d4, the knight being on e7 prevents that, because now, for example, if knight captures, you capture, bishop captures, you deflect the queen, captures, and of course you just, or even better, you could maybe sacrifice the bishop first so you don't give it up for nothing, but you're going to be down a full knight, and I mean, it's not nearly enough to start attacking the white king. So instead, after the c captures on d4 move, we have knight to g6 by Bassem, and now knight to c3 by Hikaru. And you should continue with something like rook to e8 or pawn to h6, but he plays knight captures on d4 now. He thought that, okay, the knight is gone from e7, let's now capture on d4. Obviously, Hikaru blundered a pawn here, but Hikaru does not play knight captures on d4. Hikaru actually plays rook captures on d4, which is a beautiful find, but, you know, someone who solves tactics as quickly as Hikaru and as fast as Hikaru will not miss such an idea. It's a puzzle rush moment for him. Bishop captures on d4 and knight to b5 just wins the bishop here. So you have to decide whether you give up the queen for some material, like Anand did against Magnus, or you play bishop captures on f2. He sacrificed the queen, but also if bishop captures, king captures, and let's say queen to b6 check, just bishop back to e3. And there's nothing there. So instead, after knight b5, bishop captures on a1, Hikaru plays knight captures on d6, he eliminates the queen off the board, and c captures on d6. But same as Anand against Magnus, even though Bassem does have compensation for the queen in form of two rooks, there's just no good way to activate his pieces. We have pawn to h4, and now looking to further get Bassem's pieces into passivity, we have pawn to d5 and just queen to d1, attacking the bishop and the d5 pawn. We have bishop to b2, queen to b3, bishop back to a1, and now queen to b1, bishop to c3, and queen to c1. Puts pressure on the bishop, pawn to d4, and now pawn to h5. Kicks away the knight, knight h8, and pawn to e5. And Hikaru completely ties down Bassem's pieces. There's just no good way to get into the game. We have rook to e8, but now Hikaru plays the brilliant bishop to f6. It really continues in the style of the old masters. He just wants to play queen g5 and queen g7 checkmate. And if you take the bishop, it's not really that great because now e captures, again covers the g7 square. And even with the best defense, let's say bishop b4 going after f8, you will play queen to g5 check, you give up the knight, okay, let's say captures, bishop to d3, you are just blasting through here. For example, rook e6, bishop captures, f captures, queen captures, king to f8, and now, of course, knight to g5, threatening checkmate, and there's nothing here. You can give up the rook, but, I mean, still, it's not nearly enough material to play this. So pawn to h6 is played by Bassem, and now queen to f4. Still giving up the bishop, nothing really changes. We have bishop to b4, and now bishop to d3, bringing the last piece into the attack. Bassem played pawn to d5 here, but Hikaru just played bishop captures on g7, and now there's really not much more to be done. King captures, queen to f6 check, and he was in this position on move 28 that Bassem Amin resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. So really interesting take on both of these games, featuring this famous position from the 1889 match between Steinitz and Chigorin, how Magnus went about it and how Hikaru went about it. And of course here you resign because you have to guard the knight. If you play king to g8, then you take the queen, and of course bishop h7 will be checkmate. And okay, if f5, maybe now you capture en passant, and then now this is the threat of checkmate, and one you cannot defend. For example, if bishop to f8, then again queen to h7 will be checkmate. And on the other hand, if you try giving up some material, let's say play king to f8, the king hunt will be very costly for black. Queen to f6 with check, king to d7, you will play queen captures on f7 check. If rook blocks, queen captures on d5 with check, king to e8, and now queen to b5 check will pick up the bishop. Or if, let's say, bishop to d7, you can even take the pawn first, rook c8, you're going to capture here, and you have too much material there. I mean, black has a rook for a queen and a rook for a knight. That's no way to play chess. So yeah, brilliant stuff by Hikaru. Also, you know, doing the great Evans Gambit great justice. So it makes me very happy, and hopefully makes you very happy as well. Like I said, if you haven't seen the previous video, Magnus Carlsen versus Viswanathan Anand, featuring the exact same position of the Evans Gambit from this famous position, first link in the description below. Improve your day. So yeah, that's the game. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Very much looking forward to what other great positions that we are going to uncover in this in this tournament featuring historic matches. I would like to thank Yomis Barban, Hai Rilero, Michael LeBlanc, Gerhard Henkelman, and Richard Knapp for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing this wonderful event until it finishes. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.